We were somewhere around Barstow on the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold. Hello everyone, in today's command tutorial we're going to be taking a look at bombing, both unguided as well as guided, plus the usual strategies as well as kind of how many aircraft you need to use, what types of bomb you should use for certain targets, as well as just kind of general tactical advice, plus a little bit of that good gamey goodness that you get because this is not the real world. And I'll try to of course bring up some things with the differences between this and flight sims where bombing is amazing. It's a little harder than that in the real world as you'll see. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at an outline of what we have today. We'll be talking about yield. We'll be talking about the armor piercing quality of the weapons. We'll talk about air brake bombs, also known as retarded bombs. These are pretty cool. We'll talk about CBUs, cluster bombs. I'm not going to go crazy. This could be its own video, so I'm going to leave it out as far as too much of the detail. We'll talk about guidance. Of course, we've got unguided bombs. You've got your command, passive, GPS class, NAS, as well as mixed types. And then, of course, we have employment as well as some solid examples. So let's go ahead and jump right in, shall we? So when you think about bombs, usually you're thinking about doing some sort of damage, generally to a fixed target. Some modern bombs, especially laser-guided bombs, have the ability to actually track a target that is moving. Bombs are great against ships when the ships aren't moving. As soon as the ship starts picking up any sort of speed, unless you're using some sort of laser-guided bomb, it is going to be a project to try to properly saddle a bomb. Now, bombs in command are fairly well simulated. If you've probably gone up to the database viewer at some point, set this thing over to munition mode, did something like MK, and went, oh, look at that. I didn't realize just so many GPUs out there. Or you did something funny like you did Fab, and then you went up here and went, oh, look at all those. There's a lot of different bombs. So basically, we're going to be looking at what matter does it make. Let's take a look. So in our scenario here, we have our Hunter Thompson Air Force Base, and of course we have a little depot here. The depot itself, pretty straightforward kind of a target area. We've got a couple ammo pads, we have a railway station, we have a railway yard, we have an ammo pad over here. We also have a nice large government building. And to the north, everybody's favorite target to try to hit effectively, and that is a good old-fashioned two-lane bridge. So first things first, when you're delivering unguided bombs, which is what, like I said, we'll look at first. I'm being redundant, it's been a long day, give me a break. You're going to need to take a look at the type of aircraft you're using and the quality of the bomb sight on that aircraft to determine how effective your strike is going to be. Inside of command, we basically have a few different types of guidance or bomb sights, is what they call it in game terms. We have bomb sights that are not quite as good, which are going to be your basic. You're going to have your ballistic bomb sights, which for those of you looking for an equivalent, think about the bomb sight on a MiG-21. You have an advanced bomb sight, which would be like your CCIP. Think about a F-16CJ. Then, of course, you have your advanced / INS sort of systems like you'd see on an F-18C, the F-35, and some later on bombers, the Sukhoi 34. I know it has this system. This makes a massive difference as far as how well you're going to be able to hit a target with an unguided bomb. To demonstrate that, let's go ahead and take a look what happens here. So what I have here is I have some Mirage F1s. If you actually were to click on the Mirage F1, scrolling down, you get to this little section at the bottom which tells you what type of bomb sight this platform has. This is a ballistic computing bomb sight. It's, like I said, about the equivalent of a MiG-21. The other option, like I said, you could have, taking the S3B here, you could have something like a basic bomb sight. This thing is not great. But at the same time, you don't really use an S3B as a bomber. B-52, most people are actually really surprised about this, but believe it or not, its bomb sight, at least rating in this game, is advanced computing. And of course, like I said just a minute ago, borrowing my FA-18C here, scrolling all the way down, it's always important you take a look at this stuff. You can take a look down here that it has bomb sight advanced navigation, which basically means the best you could ever do short of getting out of the plane and pushing the bomb with your hand as it falls down towards the ground. It's good stuff. So let's take a look at how this looks in action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up a quick little mission here. Strike basic. We'll go ahead and do a basic strike. So our basic aircraft, as you know, is going to be your S3B. So when you're setting up a mission to do bombing, there's something you really want to watch out for. If I were to click on one of these guys and hit ready selected aircraft, you're going to notice it's going to tell you what the default attack altitude is. If I do not manually override this, it will attack at 2,000 feet above ground level. Now, I don't know about you, but as a flight simulator guy, I know there's this thing called the ZSU-23, also known as the Shuka, which would tear us in two if we were at an altitude that low. So kind of keep that in the back of your head before you click that OK button. Now, if you compare that, of course, to our B-52 buddy, check this out. His default altitude for his attack is 36,000 feet, which means he's going to be well out of the range. Of course, you're also dropping 45 Mark 82s, and on top of that, you're going to be way out of range. But we'll deal with that in a second. So basically, we have a basic gun bomb sight. This is probably just a little circle. Maybe it's got the little thing you can rotate on the side to kind of depress the sight a little bit. Coming down here where it says flight size, this has a huge impact on successfully bombing a target. If you set these to very, very small flight sizes, the enemies tend to come in a row, kind of like ants. When you do this, it enables you to hit a pinpoint target more accurately because the individual aircraft in the flight don't have to fly around and come around to hit their other assigned targets. So that's something to think about. The opposite is also true, by the way. If you set this to 6 aircraft and you're attacking a target that has a lot of area, you need to set your WRA appropriately, otherwise you're going to be wasting your time. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's take a look real quick. So WRA, Weapon Release Authorization. The default for just about every bomb in this game, except for guided bombs, is going to be all weapons, which basically means this S3 is going to drop its entire stack on the first target it sees interesting. Now, you're sitting there going, okay, that's usually a good thing, right? Maybe. If you have the ability to come around and reattack, that means if your first attack was successful, then cool, we saved our bombs. If it wasn't successful, we can always reattack. So that's something you want to kind of keep in the back of your head. It's more important with the bigger bombs than it is with the little bombs, but we'll take a look at that in a little while. So basically, they're going to drop every single bomb they possibly have. So if I were to use this in this sort of a form, that would mean each aircraft in that section would preferably try to attack a single target. As you can see, fire enough weapon to fill the salvo requirement, meaning it will only be dropping its 8 Mark 82s per target. If that's too many bombs per target, which honestly for basic gun sight, you're not going to have that issue, you're going to want to set this to a smaller number to force the aircraft to reattack. Now, if you're creative, what you'll actually do is come in here and do something like this, where it launches half of its bombs, and then you order a second person to shoot it as well. So 2 separate targets drop the rounds on the actual target assigned. This is neat, and again, I've come up with a couple of tactical reasons for this, but generally I don't need it. I'm going to go ahead and leave it alone for today. All right, let's see what happens if you take a basic bomb sight with Mark 82s at 200 feet. Keep in mind these guys are regulars. Here we go. Remember, these are big groups. Bombs away, pause. Let's see how we did. So we dropped 120 500-pound low drag general purpose bombs. Total losses, a single ammo pad. That was horrible. Let's go ahead and open this up again and take a look at this with a slightly more modern sight. Keep in mind, a basic sight, you're just as effective as World War I bombers were. All right, so let's try this exact same scenario again. I'm just going to, whatever I'm typing there, who knows. Let's go ahead and hit land strike. Let's go ahead and do this a little differently. Now we're going to use an aircraft that has a ballistic computing sight. Now this would be a sight that basically when you look down, it would tell you where the bomb's going to land based on the motion of the aircraft. So we're going to be using a Mirage F1. This is a more accurate sort of attack. But warning, take a look at what the altitude it's going to attack is. 200 feet. Watch this. Da-da-da. That was nice. All right, cross your fingers. So this would be the next generation. Think 1960s bomb sight. Ready? We went through 168 250-kilogram bombs, and we got 3 this time. So already that's a significant increase. And by the way, people who are keeping track of my total bombs used, remember this number as opposed to this number. Keep this ratio in mind. It's going to come back up later on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll load this up again. Again, this demonstration is worthwhile so that you can see the difference that different aircraft can make. So let's go ahead and do this again. Go ahead and set it to land strike, press OK. This time we're going to get B-52s. Yes, B-52s. Now these aircraft are great because they don't just carry 1 Mark 82, they carry 45 Mark 82s. Now one thing I want to point out is the fact they're going to be striking from 36,000 feet. That means if there's any wind, which there is, by the way, that means the bomb is going to deviate significantly. So the hope here is that we're increasing the number of bombs we drop, hopefully increasing our overall accuracy. There is a way around this, by the way. If you actually go down to the actual loadout itself, you could sell the B-52s to attack at low altitude. That's 200 feet above ground level with a B-52. Be smart, people. You know how this ends. I'm going to leave them at high altitude. By the way, the B-52s are equipped with the advanced computing sight, in case you're curious. One other thing I want to say about the B-52s, they can do radar bombing. You're saying there, what's the difference? Optical bombing, I have to have physical line of sight to the target. Radar bombing, I can actually look through a cloud and still attack the target, assuming I can detect that target. Just kind of keep that in mind. It's super duper handy, especially in certain scenarios, as you'll see. So anyway, I'm going to leave these guys, their big old sections here. I'm going to play, speed time up a little bit. Watch this. Keep in mind they're at 36,000 feet. Okay, advanced computing site, 36,000 feet. Ready? We used 540 bombs for this. Ready? We did a little better. Again, that ratio is you should start to see numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 to 1. It takes 100 bombs for every single target. Keep that in the back of your head. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time, and this time I'm going to be mean. And I'm going to get myself some F-18s. F-18s have an advanced GPS/INS style sight, and this is like dynamite. I'm going to call this one. Yup. Go ahead and do a land strike. Let's go ahead and get our F-18Cs. Keep in mind these guys have the advanced one. They have Mark 82s. They're also programmed to attack at 200 feet. Let's go ahead and play and watch what happens. Go. What do you think? Better? Worse? Let's take a look. They went through less than 100 bombs, and they killed 3. So it only cost them 33 bombs per target. So just because we did a better job at actually hitting the target, we didn't quite have the same number of munitions. Speaking of which, that brings us to our next item. And that's the fact that the yield of the bomb has a big impact in what you're going to be attacking with it. If you're attacking a very large target, there's nothing wrong with using less big bombs because you're going to hit it. The problem is, just like we say here, the bigger your yield, the less need for accuracy. The larger yield, obviously heavier bomb, you can't carry as many of them. Smaller yield is going to be always a little bit more pinpoint. However, it's a lighter bomb. So kind of keep this in sort of the back of your head here. If we switch these bombs out with 1,000 pounds instead of 500, we need half the bombs, right? Which brings us to our next point. When you're attacking targets, let me go ahead and reset our scenario one more time here. Awesome. When you're attacking targets, we're going to go to one of my favorite sites, as everybody knows, Browse Scenario Platforms. We'll set it to TAR4. Let's go ahead and grab a building real quick. Now, if you take a look at this real quickly, you'll notice that the building itself has a couple details in its database. First, it has 450 damage points. Second, it has light armor. Now, if we were to quickly run over to munitions and type in MK82, let's go ahead and get ourselves a regular one, not one of those silly ones. There we go. You'll observe that this bomb can do 130 damage and that it is a high explosive bomb. What does that mean? Well, check this out. If something has 450 hit points with light armor, let's grab my calculator, and we divide it by 130.5, that would mean we'd have to get basically four direct hits to kill that target rather. The problem is if you take a look here, this is a high explosive round against an armored target. Whenever high explosives hit targets, you have an 80% reduction-ish in the amount of damage you cause. Keep in mind, very hard targets such as like a T-80 tank has extremely heavy armor. Bunkers have even more armor. They require special weapons. So as a result, my 130 is probably going to be closer to 104. Hey, that's some pretty good math. So now if I do the division real quick, you'll see that I need 5 direct hits with Mark 82s in order to damage and destroy this building. Now that's okay. Well, it's okay. I see where you're going with this. So what do we do? Do we get a bigger bomb? Let's find out. Let me go get that F-18 again. Let's go ahead and grab this one right here. You're looking pretty lucky today. Let's go ahead and ready arm you guys. Again, we're cheating a little bit to make this quicker for you. Let's take a look at what happens when we get the Mark 83. So we can carry a total of 4 of these. Notice it's high explosive again. It's 303 damage. 303 times 4, that's times, remember 0.8, that's about 1,000 damage. That means a single of these aircraft could completely destroy that building. And to prove my point, and let's hope we do okay today, of course you could set it to short range, and now look at how many. I'm carrying 8,000 pounds of bombs. I'm going to go ahead and launch a single one of these to make my point here. Keep in mind, this aircraft is equipped with the best bomb sight for this process. All right. I'm going to go ahead and line you up at the target region. I'm going to go ahead and shift F1. I'm going to select my large government building. How many do we need? 3, right? So we'll do 4 because I'm a nice guy. Okay, watch this. And let me go ahead and bring him down to a normal people's altitude. 1,000 feet above ground level sounds pretty safe to me. Not really. I wouldn't want to be that low. Again, going back to my example with the short-range missile system. So I'm doing a manual attack here just to kind of make my point. I believe this is the government building. Yes. So he's going to fly over and he's going to deploy those weapons. By the way, if you ever need to tell an aircraft what altitude to do the attack at, you have to do it using a manual attack, essentially. Because if you did an auto attack and you didn't set the altitude, it would dive down to 200 feet above ground level and do its thing one more time. So watch this. You seem to be very low, sir. You're 3,300 feet. I told you low altitude above ground level. Okay, fine, be that way. I see how it is. Let's watch this. What happened? Where's my bombs? You're sitting there going, but you dropped the bombs, didn't you? No, I didn't drop the bombs. The problem was there was a mountain right here, and he was too high. Actually, he was too low in this case to successfully deploy his weapons. So now I'm going to drag him up to a little bit higher altitude. Ah, still too low. Dude, you need to get a little bit more altitude. What is our local altitude here? This is another issue you're going to face from time to time. Actually, I'm going to set it to 5,000 feet. That seems pretty safe. And you're going to go over here. I'm going to put you back. Go. Again, if you set it to automatic mode, you wouldn't have this issue. Now we should be able to strike it, no problem. Assuming, oh, there it goes. Thank you. And bye-bye. Got it. So that's just demonstrating how with a superior computing system, selecting the right size bombs, we've absolutely been able to minimize our attack here. As a matter of fact, he could probably come back and finish the rest of these targets. He's also at a safer altitude. And again, the older the bomb sight system, the lower altitude you're going to have to be effective. So that's actually a pretty cool example. I'm glad you got to see that. Now, if we were using older aircraft with Mark 84s, there's a pretty good chance we would have wasted most of that stack, although we probably would have caused some damage. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head. Again, calculators and Microsoft Excel are always your best friend. Okay, let's take a look. Some bombs have what they call semi-armor piercing warheads. The AS-14 is one that comes to mind. What does that mean? Let's go ahead and take a look real quick. AS-14, grab the kedge. Hey, there it is. You wouldn't want that. Look how big this thing is. Scrolling down real quickly, it says SAP. That's semi-armor piercing. That means that this particular bomb has the ability to ignore light armor to still deliver its full damage to its target. That is awesome because it means that basically if you hit a building with it, you're going to do all 250. Obviously, if you're hitting a bunker, it could be considerably less. There's another kind of armor piercing, of course, that you're probably familiar with, regular armor piercing. For this one, I'm going to have to kind of cheat a little. I don't really know any modern aircraft that have true armor piercing warheads. There are some high explosive anti-tank warheads, but we'll get to that later. And you can see this one, this is an armor piercing round. However, look at the damage. That makes sense. It punches a hole in the front of the building, and the hole goes out the other side, or I should say the projectile rather. So not much damage, but it can penetrate anything. And then last but not least, of course, we have penetrator. What does that mean? Well, let's go ahead and get a look at a BLU 109 real quick. These particular aircraft have the ability to go through extremely hardened targets. So what you'll see is the word penetrator. Now, when I say hardened targets, I'm talking things that are like 100 meters of earth before exploding in a bunker underground. So that means this damage is going to 100% hit whatever you damage. So hopefully that's starting to make a little bit more sense. So let's go ahead and take a look at some other things here. Now, there's these other funky bombs called retarded bombs, which are basically, I call them air brake bombs because it just sounds more fun. It's slightly more PC. Basically, they're bombs that you can drop over the target as you fly over the target. In the real world, we love these things because it gives you the ability to basically not get caught in the blast of your own bomb. Now, there's a couple different variations on that particular weapon, depending on what country you're playing as. The most common one that I always think of is the Balut. That's a Mark 82. And of course, everybody ever remembers the Snake Eyes as well, which are absolutely awesome. Now, if we load up our F-18s with Snake Eyes, this is going to be like cheating. So anyway, let's go ahead and get our target area one more time. Too easy. Watch this. As a matter of fact, I'm so confident in my F-18's ability to do this, I'm going to change my weapon release authorization to force them not to drop all their bombs on one target. So what I'm actually going to say is, how many did we get? Do you remember? I think it was 8 total. So I'm going to order them to drop only 4. So watch what happens this time. You always talk about the morale effect of all the bombs arriving at the exact same time. Wait until you see what this can do. I just am thinking of those poor guys on the ground right now who are about to just get splattered by so many different bombs. Now, bombs have the ability in this game to be launched kind of like off bore. Hang on. You're going to want to watch this. Pause. Oh, I was too slow. But as they fly over, notice that each guy is attacking a separate target. And then they're turning around again to re-attack targets that have already been hit once. Ah, these F-18s are like cheating. Where do you think you're going? Hey, you get back here. Uh-oh. Excuse me. Turn around. We still missed one. Oh, because I'm in that mode. Whatever. Unassign. and I'm going to reassign you to that mission so that you can finish the job here. All right, set it back to too easy. Da da da. Mission allowed. Pre-attack blank. Oh, that's a bummer. Oh, we won already. Never mind. So as you can see, let's go take a look at the losses here. We went through about 70 of these things, and we cleaned house. By the way, if it is a windy day, these air brake bombs are virtually useless. So be very, very careful with them. And obviously, if you're going to be flying 200 feet off the ground, I think you can actually fly even lower if I recall correctly. Let me see what the actual attack altitude on these things are. As I recall, it's actually stupidly low, 80 feet above the ground. Obviously, anything that's low in anti-aircraft artillery is going to cut you in two, so kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about CBUs briefly. I'm not going to go into crazy detail here because if I do, we're going to be here all night. Basically, a cluster bomb is a bomb that after it's dropped, it's going to split into a bunch of small bombs. There's a lot of different variations of this inside of this program. CBUs are the ultimate, if I get close, do I still count? Kind of weapons, and they do a really, really good job. There's tons of different variations of CBUs. The modern, I call them the 100 series, all have the ability to correct for wind, which is like cheating. Some of the older series, the kind of ones that you probably saw during the Vietnam War, for example, and you're going to see all these different variations of it. What are you looking for as a player of this game? Well, you're interested in what kind of bombs and how many they drop. This one, for example, the CBU-49, has the ability to spam 670 bomblets per drop. Remember, the more bomblets, the more coverage. However, the less individual damage. You're not going to drop these on a house. I mean, it's going to wreck your roof, but it's not going to do much to the rest. Obviously, I'm being facetious here, but you know what I mean. Then there's other types of bombs that kind of go the other direction, where basically instead of having a million little bombs, you have quite a few less bombs, such as the 78, the Gator. This thing is an anti-aircraft, or I should say an anti-tank, what am I saying, type of a CBU. So basically, the more bombs you put on the CBU, the less damage they'll cause, but the better armor penetration. And again, you can come down here to double check that really, really quickly. Oh, look at this thing. That looks like, oh, that looks mean. What is this one? Oh, that's not cool at all. Look at this one. It only drops 10. However, anybody who's seen videos of the CBU 97, I suggest you go on YouTube, pause me right now, go type in CBU 97 and watch that, and you'll understand exactly how effective that is. Anyway, by the way, CBUs are not very useful in urban or jungle/forest environments. Kind of keep that in mind. I love using CBUs against SAM sites because SAM sites are spread out. I also like to use them against aircraft sitting on the tarmac because, again, you don't have to hurt an airplane a lot to cripple it. Okay, now let's go ahead and get to the guidance side of things. This software provides you with different types of guidance. We have unguided, which I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we're good. We have command guided, which are remote control bombs, which, oh, now I don't even want to imagine how much patience that would take. You have weapons such as the walleye, which actually can be fire and forget depending on how you use it, or the RBO-5, which is a Swedish bomb. You literally drive it with a miniature joystick and you can see a little flare on the tail. I mean, this is like if you want to think about some of the late German weapons in World War II, they actually had those kind of bombs. You have passive guided, such as infrared laser EO. You got your Hellfire, of course, the CAB 500. A lot of these, basically, they're fire and forget. Some of them you have to actually steer, kind of like the walleye. So again, I'm not 100% sure where you want to put those. But in general, you need to have something that the target is giving off or being illuminated by in order to track. You have GPS bombs. These things are awesome. They literally fly to the coordinate that you tell them to. We'll look at that in a second. Advantage of these, obviously, is talk about safe launch altitude. You could be 60,000 feet and drop one of these and just go home before the thing's even gotten halfway there. It's incredible. Can't hit a moving target. And then, of course, you have these funky new ones called laser JDAMs, which basically have the ability to use a laser or a GPS. So it's kind of like the best and worst of all worlds. So let's go ahead and take a look at those now. All right. So first things first, we'll take a look at everybody's favorite, which is the GBUs. So when it comes to GBUs, there's a lot of different ways to deploy them. We're going to go bother our F-18 here. We're going to take a look at it. So when you look at a weapon entry, what are you looking for? The first thing is these three letters afterwards. If it says LGB, that means it's laser guided. That means that it needs a laser to be able to see and hit the target at all times in order to direct the bomb safely to its target. These things are stupidly accurate. Now, where do you get that laser from? Well, it depends on what generation of aircraft you are. Because in the old days when you had things like this, let me actually go call up my A-10 real fast. This is one of my favorite examples. Let's go get a C model. Let's go to the newer old ones. They had a laser spot tracker, but at one point they actually didn't carry their own pods. Let me see real quick. I don't want to make a liar out of myself too effectively here, but I'm going to try. Let's go get an A model. Let's see here. Nope, they do have lightning pods. Even the older ones had lightning pods. Of course, I could always go get myself like an F8 or F5 or something like that. That would do it too. Yeah, here it is. You'll notice these E810s require somebody else's laser in order to attack. Now, that laser is going to be a big limitation. And the fact of the matter is, older laser guided bombs can only see a laser from about 2 miles, which means about 10,000 feet. So that means you're going to have to put yourself in the line of fire in order to safely drop these weapons. Now, fortunately, some more modern systems, and I'll go back to the F-18 real quickly, you actually have the ability to carry these little targeting pods. This one is good to 40,000 feet. That's incredible if you think about how much of a laser beam you must need in order to guide these. So that's the first thing you're looking for. Next thing you're looking for is it say JDAM or something along those, or does it say GLONASS? Does it say GPS? That simply means you're going to fire the bomb. It's just going to travel on some coordinates and then hit. The last thing you might see, of course, is you get the laser JDAMs, but we actually have too old of a version of the aircraft to do this. So to do this attack, I'm going to go ahead and get myself some of these Mark 84s. These BLU 109s, by the way, are penetrators. We don't need them. Notice how few of these we carry, by the way. Not going to matter. Let's go ahead and demonstrate. LGB. Go ahead and do land strike. Press OK. Get myself my F-18s. Let me check my WRA real quick. I'm gonna make sure we're not wasting these. That looks good to me. That looks good to me. I'm just gonna say 2. Of course, do we really need 2? Let's check that. I feel bad about wasting these things. They're like $500,000 a piece, if that, on the low end. I'm not gonna guess. GBU 10. Let's go ahead and grab one of these. How much? Damage. 643. Yeah, we're going to use one each. Of course, in the real world, you never just drop one of these because anybody who's tried to fly a plane with a missing wing can tell you, wow, that's really kind of annoying. Let's go ahead and set that. Let's go ahead and set this. Scoot them down, scoot them down. We're going to go ahead and say I just need one. Scoot down, scoot down. We're in my facility. We're not attacking any of those, but whatever. Soft target. I feel real bad if you use a soft target against this. And that should do it. As far as size, I'm going to go for maximum strike value. I'm going to go ahead and use 6 aircraft in this attack. I should say per group. Okay, here we go. And pause. So now these aircraft are way, 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 way up high. Or are they? Why are they only at 11,000 feet? Well, if you take a look at the weapon itself, if you go back to what I said about 2 minutes ago, you have to be careful and make sure you're in the launch envelope to employ the weapon. So anyway, I'll let these guys go ahead and do their thing. We spotted something new. I'm going to go ahead and check this out. They fired their laser bombs and they immediately turned to the left so that they can light up the targets that they're attacking. So watch this. Hey, that's what we get for not wasting weapons. By the way, you can re-attack with laser guided bombs. Watch this. Oh, I feel so wasteful. Apparently we did not damage that one. It's alright. I think one of our bombs malfunctioned. Always a problem, by the way. And there's one left. And they're having trouble with line of sight. You guys are flying too low. Go higher. Go higher. Alright, let's see what happened this time. Losses and expenditures. So we used 16 and got everybody. So obviously laser guided bombs work very, 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 very effective. So you're saying there, why don't we just use that for everything? Well, first of all, like I said a minute ago, I have to be kind of low to use a laser guided bomb safely. The second point too, and let's go ahead and introduce something that everybody loves. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Let's whoop. There we are. Now that's what I call weather. So now your laser guided bombs are worthless. So how do we fix that? Well, that's when the other kinds of bombs come in handy. We have, of course, our command guided. I don't think I can command guide a bomb through a cloud. Just call that a hunch. We can passive guided, not possible, because like I said, sort of like with our laser, we're not going to be able to see the return laser. Aha! Let's use one of those. So there's a couple different flavors of these particular weapons. In this case, I'm actually going to borrow a different country's aircraft this time, so I can show you that everybody has this capability now, which is actually pretty cool if you ask me. Scoot, scoot, scoot. Let's see here. We need the glow. There it is. The Cab 500S. This is actually pretty cool. So this bomb has the ability to lock on to a target based on its coordinate and attack. If you don't know where the target is, you can't attack. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, that should be enough. That should be enough. All right, let's go ahead and create that mission again. Obviously, the Soviets have been gone for quite a while, but that's perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and get a group of these guys. There they are. That looks pretty good to me. Weapon release authorization. Don't you dare waste these things. These things are huge and they're very expensive. So I'm going to go ahead and just say use one each. I think that should be enough for the job, to be honest. If we need to do a reattack, we will do a reattack. By the way, did you notice there's no ships here? It won't even allow you to attack something in the water because it assumes it's not going to hit it. That's kind of depressing if you ask me. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Flying to the target zone. Watch this. Let's check my distance. That's 12 nautical miles away. And these guys are probably well above the cloud layer. Indeed. All right, speed things up a little bit here. Now, these bombs are fire and forget. As soon as they did what they just did, they can just wait for the attack to be successful or not to attack successful and then come back around again. Now, check this out. My fog level is still completely thick. But look at these bombs. Ooh, ouch. Nice. Swinging around for a second pass. This is your re-attack. Keep in mind, I don't think that the cab has that big of a warhead. Let me check real quick. Yeah, it's only 319. That's why we didn't kill everybody. Off they go again. They're pretty slow moving, if you ask me. By the way, the JSOW is a same thing as this, but it has like a 50-mile nautical mile radius, which is even better. And we're out of bombs. Bummer. I think our bombs are just a little on the small side. But we attacked through fog. So imagine for a second you're sitting there enjoying your Coke or whatever, and 1.8 tons of bombs suddenly shows up and goes kaboom within 10 feet of where you just fired. That's an incredible weapon. Okay, I think we got that covered. Let's see, passive guided. I almost don't count Hellfire as this, but again, we looked at the lasers, so I think we're good. Good. Okay, time to think about some range and line of sight conditions for employment. First of all, you have to be in range to drop a bomb. I should actually put in here bearing in bore sight. You have to be able to point at the target to drop a bomb. There's no over-the-shoulder bombing, which makes sense. You have to have line of sight. So if there's heavy clouds, you cannot shoot through that cloud. By the way, that was why our F-18s earlier went down, because they could get under the clouds to deploy their laser-guided bombs, in case you were curious. Of course, obviously, if we're radar bomber capable, we can use our radar. We don't care about things like clouds unless we're trying to hit something like a guy standing out there in the woods or something. Accuracy depends on the skill of the pilot. Obviously, veteran crews are going to shoot better and drop better. Weather, obviously, if it's windy, it becomes extremely difficult, even with LGBs, especially when the weather gets really bad. Visibility, if it's the middle of the night and I'm trying to bomb something that's an ambiguous target, you're not going to hit it. The quality of the munition, all these munitions have a rating based on CEP, which is accuracy, plus their actual accuracy as far as reliability goes. What altitude you drop, the lower the better. Obviously, if you're worried about getting shot at from the ground, your bombing accuracy goes down. There's nothing you can do about that. Be very careful with missions that you don't accidentally let your guys go into the kill zone of some anti-aircraft artillery, especially like in the Vietnam War era, especially in Iraq. Bombing site technology has a huge piece. In general, the accuracy is about the same until you get to advanced and advanced INS. Once you start getting into this category, you can start dropping from very high altitudes with unguided weapons without being nervous about it. Orientation to attack the target. Okay, this is everybody's favorite, least favorite target, and that is a bridge. For those folks who are flight simulator fans, you probably can speak to me how many times you've missed a bridge. Why? Well, the first thing is you do something silly and try to attack perpendicular to the bridge. You can't do that unless you have an LGB. So what we could do is we could attack with the direction of the bridge. That's cool, except you know the enemy's going to put their defense on both sides, expecting that. So the way we kind of did it, and this goes back to Vietnam strategy, is we'd actually attack the bomb with a stack at an angle, kind of like an oblique angle like this, kind of out of the way of anti-aircraft, but not quite perpendicular. So we'll explore that real quickly right now. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself a couple aircraft. I am a big fan of the F-16, so we're going to go get ourselves a Block 15. We'll get the 99 version. I'm going to get some of these we're going to do Mark 84s. Bridges are heavy targets. You're going to need to hit them hard. Grab these F-16s. I'm going to go ahead and order them to attack this 2-lane bridge, and we're going to be attacking it perpendicular. All right, place your bets. All right, slow down. Notice these guys are attacking from 36,000 feet. Oh yeah. That's not gonna work. Good shot though. Good shot. Remember, we could have come over here and set them to lower, which we probably have to do. Ready, go. Okay, those F-16s are pretty good. What's your secret? Sometimes you get lucky, by the way, just like the real world. What's your secret? Aha! They had the fancy gun sight. That was the difference. So unfortunately, that was a non-example. Disregard. Let's try that again with something that actually can't hit that target. I know what to do. Make 27. That'll do the trick. Okay, let's go get ourselves some Fab 500s. High, low, high, but I want, there we go, that's what I want. 6 of those should do the trick. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Try that again, guys. This time, of course, we'll do the right thing and set them to the correct altitude. All right, let's try this. Remember, we're shooting perpendicular to this bridge. Pause. By the way, this is the optimum arrangement of these aircraft because they're behind each other. They attack all at the same point on the bridge. That's very helpful. Watch this. All right. Okay, he's a little early. He seems like he's a little early too. Our folk in the back, let's see how he does. And drop. Place your bets. How the heck did you miss that bad? Okay, so as you can see, by employing a more traditional, this is a ballistic computing site, by the way, we did not even come close to hitting that bridge. So let's do the exact same thing, but this time, let's go ahead and attack facing this way with the direction of the bridge. So let's go ahead and get the same arrangement, by the way, high, low, high. That sounds good to me. Go ahead and duplicate everybody real quick. Go ahead and do one of these. Drop these guys down to medium altitude was our agreed altitude. By the way, we could tell these guys to attack at low altitude. We'd be more successful. Notice how they line themselves up. Now they're perfectly in line with the direction of the bridge. Let's see what happens this time. All right, here they come. Again, 12,000 feet. That's still pretty high. Survey says, here we go. I think that last one was, I think that's going to be our winner. Of course, here comes his buddy. Bring it. I think that one's going to go a little wide. Of course, you're sitting there going, that has nothing to do with it. We hit the bridge. Nice. That is 100% more damage to that bridge than we did the last time when we attacked perpendicular. So again, consider the orientation. That's what I mean by that. Oh, here comes the last guy. I don't think you're going to do any better than your buddies. I don't know. It's looking pretty sweet there. Swing and a miss. Now, this little line of bombs going this way, you have to hope that the bridge isn't in this gap. So hopefully that makes sense as far as what I mean by orientation. Okay, let's see here. Orientation, that's important. Laser guided bombs, obviously the altitude dependent. You can't shoot through clouds. Nighttime's fine, by the way. Continuous illumination, if the guy illuminating the target dies, then the bomb kind of goes, huh, and crash. Sat-nav bombs, that's your GPS and GLONASS. Basically, you're going to have to know where the target is, and you're going to have to be in range. And then last but not least, I always say this is the bottom, use enough bombs to do the job. Remember, in World War II, it wasn't unusual to attack with, say, 40 or 50 aircraft on a single target, like a point target, like a train station. And even then, that would not be guaranteed of putting it out of action. So the last thing I want to do is I want to approach this mathematical so that you can kind of see sort of how I plan strikes in this game. Now, the weird thing about approaching things mathematically, by the way, is my understanding is they do quite a bit of this in the military. So I don't feel too bad trying to be a scientist once in a while. So here's my situation. I want to hit the stupid bridge. I don't know. I got an issue with that bridge. It looks funny. Honestly, that is a down now. It's probably fine. So basically, we're attacking a bridge that's 2 lanes. We know by clicking on that bridge that it has a total of 150 damage points, and it has light armor. Okay, let's take a look here. So that would mean that it's light armor. So if I attack with a Mark 82, that does that much damage, no penetration, which means 104, I'll need 2 solid hits. Now, if I was attacking with a basic bomb sight, I'd probably need about 50 aircraft. Keep in mind, this is at altitude. If I attack at low altitude, I probably need a quarter of that. Ballistic, probably about that many. Advanced, about 4. INS, 2. Okay, all right. Let's see if I'm right about that then. So I need 2 aircraft, basically, and I'm probably going to need about 4 bombs. So let's go get ourselves our handy-dandy F-18 again. And again, I like to pick on this aircraft because it just does such a good job. Go ahead and grab this one right here. Let's go ahead and get myself some Mark 82s. We don't want snake eyes, we want conventional. We have the Nighthawk pod. Neat. So I'm going to go ahead and set him to medium altitude because I want to give the bridge a chance. And we said that we're going to need to use 4 bombs. Or I said, I think 3 bombs, basically. Technically 2 solid hits, but I'll use 4 bombs because I'm being polite. Let's go ahead and set that to that, and let's go see what happens here. You can go ahead down to medium altitude. I'm going to actually flick his radar on so we can get an early lock on that target. He does have a surface search radar. All right, our orientation is correct. We're employing the correct number of bombs. We're using an aircraft that is capable of dropping very advanced, very carefully placed bombs. We're attacking at medium altitude. So the idea here would be that we'd be able to go ahead and hit the target pretty much with 2 out of the 4 bombs. Fingers crossed. Drum roll. Don't make me look bad. That looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I don't know. It's drifting right. Drifting right. Thank you. The next performance will be at 9. Perfectly done. So again, this aircraft was the right height, used the right size bomb, used the best computing that we could possibly have. Decent pilot, correct for the weather. So hopefully that kind of shows you how you can approach problems like this. By the way, I've tried it from the other angle. Usually you still hit because it's such a good bombing system. Okay, hopefully you found this video pretty solid. I'm just going to double check my notes real quickly. I don't want to miss anything that's really, really important. Again, one thing I will say actually before I disappear, using the bigger bombs as opposed to the smaller bombs, sometimes you have to because it's the only way to damage a target. So kind of keep that in the back of your head. And also, there's a reason why everybody packs 30 Mark 82s. I just need to get one decent hit. Okay, hopefully you found this video kind of enlightening. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, I breezed over CBUs. Generally, the more bomblets, the less damage, but the wider the spread. Enjoy.